Welcome to Paul's Heart. I'm Paul, author of the book Paul's Heart Life as a Dad and a 35-Year Cancer Survivor, available on Amazon. Today, I want to talk about art imitating life. Okay? In comparison, I'm holding a book here called Walking Through the Fire by Laurel Lee. Now, her book and my book actually have something in common. They're both books about somebody with Hodgkin's lymphoma. Now, Laura Lee's book came out in 1977. I know that why? Because as I was going through my treatments in 1988 and 1989 and 1990, before we had Netflix and Amazon and all these other streaming things, we had to rely on network television for our entertainment. And there was a late night movie called Walking Through the Fire. It was a CBS movie. Had a nice list of actors and actresses. The actress Bess Armstrong actually played Laura Lee, who had Hodgkin's lymphoma while she was also pregnant. It's actually something that I see a lot on my different feeds that I have, that, hard enough being diagnosed with cancer, but you've got to worry about your child. You've got to worry about making decisions. Do you keep the child? Do you delay treatments? A whole bunch of stuff that comes in there. But anyway, Laurel Lee's book, Walking Through the Fire, its subtitle is Hospital Journal, and what she did was she journaled her time in the hospital, going through her various treatments while she was still carrying, her diagnosing and staging, much like I covered in mine, and then also, of course, her treatments. They made a movie out of it, which caught my attention because at that point, back in 1988, 89, and 90, I still was unaware of others like me going through that same experience. So I was tired. I remember that because I was going through chemotherapy at the time. But I stayed up late to watch this movie. And unfortunately, I ended up getting upset about it because the movie wasn't exactly accurate with the way things were being portrayed. I recognized some of the things that Laura Lee went through during her diagnosing and staging, and one of which was a procedure called the staging laparotomy, where they basically open you up from your mid-chest down to your abdomen. They remove your spleen. They do biopsies on lymph nodes and on your liver and stuff. It's a pretty decent incision, and they have to go through your stomach muscles and stuff like that. After she had it done, according to the movie, she was out of bed like nothing ever happened. And that is impossible. To have your chi, as they call it, the thing that holds your body straight up, obliterated with a scalpel, okay? There's no way that you bounce back just like that. And especially not even show any signs of pain. So unfortunately, I give that movie a big thumbs down because it just, Hollywood, they have no problem showing bad endings to stories. In fact, that's what sells a lot of their movies. They don't really want to sell the good stories, okay? But they could have been a little more accurate with that. So we'll give you another example. So I had open heart surgery as part of my late effects from my cancer treatments. Now, Laura Lee passed away at the age of 58 in 2004, young. She ended up having pancreatic cancer, which was likely a secondary cancer caused from her treatments. Chances are she wasn't even aware that that was going to be an issue for her, much like many of us other long-term survivors who are here 30, 40, 50 years. We know that these are possibilities in our future, just like our heart. So when I came home after having my open heart surgery. It took me 6 days to get home. I'm sitting on my couch, and on the television, not by my choice, was a soap opera. I believe it was called The Young and the Restless. And the one story plot, unbeknownst to me, a character, I think her name was Victoria, was undergoing open heart surgery. And one of the things that happens to a lot of us who go through these open heart surgeries end up with a weird increase, development, whatever, of emotions. And I just lost it. And I was being asked, what is wrong with you? And I just kept saying it's too fresh. It's too real. I just went through this 6 days ago. I can't be looking at this stuff. They had no problem being that realistic. I have no idea what happened with her after that. I made sure that channel was never on again while I was at home recovering. So now we come to 2026, and I've got a new television series or streaming series that I like to watch called Shrinking. I'm sorry. It's on Apple TV. They've got 3 seasons out now. And I can appreciate the storyline that they're pushing in this 3rd season, as one of their main characters has Parkinson's disease. So they've brought in Michael J. Fox, who of course has Parkinson's, and they've been pretty accurate with progression, symptoms, and stuff like that. I'm not going to spoil it for you, but also during this season, one of the characters develops a heart issue. They have an echocardiogram done, and it's determined that they need to have heart surgery. They even go as far as to describe the situation, much like mine, and I describe in my book, called a widowmaker. In other words, it's a near unaliving condition with the heart that if something isn't done soon, you're going to be unalived. And so the scene jumps, and you see a little bit of concern. You see a spouse who's expressing concern. You see friends. You see people basically acting the way that they're supposed to, not like the way that I wrote in my book. Well, after surgery is done, the surgeon comes out and says, you can go back. They go back, and the patient is sitting up in the bed, wide awake, no sign of pain or whatever. So as viewers, we're not really sure what went on, what happened. Well, I do. Chances are he had something called transvascular. They went up the leg to do something simple like stents. But then they show holding a pillow. And the only time you're holding a pillow is if you're trying to relax your breastbone, which has just been repaired. So this character actually had open heart surgery. And I know for a fact that there's no way that you're sitting up in a bed immediately after open heart surgery. You've got all kinds of wires and tubes. Chances are you're still intubated, and you definitely have pain. I thought Hollywood would be better than that, but then again, they've only got half-hour episodes and they have to get everything in. But they're really not paying that much attention to the situation, so I don't know why even bother bringing it up. Look, I wrote a book about my experiences as a cancer survivor and all the late effects that I'm dealing with. They could easily do a movie on my story. But would they? I don't know. My story has a happy ending so far. It's out 36 years in remission from Hodgkin's lymphoma. Is it movie worthy? Who'd play me? That's what I'd be curious about. Until next time, this is Paul's Heart.